There is one thing that we do every Sunday for 30 minutes, and it has saved us from living paycheck to paycheck. In 1988, just 2 months after we got married, we were flat broke. And I mean like nothing in the bank, maybe a little bit of cash in each of our wallets, some coins we could dig up between the couch cushions. We were consistently living paycheck to paycheck and in fact overspending what we were making every month. And we realized in really short order that it wasn't just that we were spending too much money. The fact was we were not communicating at all about how the money should be spent or could be spent in the first place. And that's where this Sunday evening 30-minute habit came into play. It's our 30-minute weekly budget meeting. So in this video, we'll show you the different components of our weekly budget meeting. We'll show you the forms that we use. It's a little different than our monthly budget meeting. Our monthly budget meeting goes a little bit more in depth, has to do more with some goals that we're working on for that quarter and for that month. Now, if you want to see how our monthly budget meeting is different than our weekly budget meeting, leave the word monthly in the comment section, will you? And we'll do a video for you that kind of runs through everything we do in our monthly budget meeting. Now we're going to show you the forms that we use for this weekly budget meeting. And no, we are not going to provide the snacks for your budget meeting, but you may have your very own copy of the forms that we'll show you in this video, and we'll make sure that those forms are listed. There'll be a link in the description of the video.
And if you do really good with these videos and these forms, you'll have money for snacks. So what do we do first? The first thing we actually do is take a look at the week ahead. We want to see what's coming up, what bills might be coming up, what expenses we might have to pay. It might be time to fill the cars with gas. We need to know this ahead of time so we know how much money to allocate toward those goals.
And yes, we have kind of a little reminder checklist that reminds us what we want to look at every week. We look at food and meals. Or will we be eating out anytime that week? That should be pre-planned expense. And how much you're going to spend on eating out, that should be planned ahead of time as well. Are there any events coming up that you need to provide or make food for? If you have a son or a daughter who plays soccer every Monday and Wednesday evening, those are not the nights that you want to be spending an hour making dinner. Those are the nights that you want to pre-plan and make sure you've got something quick and easy to put on the table the minute you walk in the door because everybody's hot, tired, and hungry.
Another thing we look ahead at, is there money coming in? Do we have some income that we can use toward the goals that we have for the week coming up?
We look at appointments, events, bills that are coming due. Do we have those bills all scheduled? Are there any automatic payments that are coming out? Like when we had Netflix, it came out the 14th of every month. Yeah. It would immediately be withdrawn from our checking account. Are any of those coming due that week?
Now, step 2 is very important. That's where we review our spending versus what we were planning on spending. So we were planning on certain things, but what actually transpired? And that will be very important for us to take a look at all those numbers and make sure that they're in line with what we can do.
Here is why that is super important to look at every single week. Because if you don't take this step, you'll get toward the end of the month and realize, oh my gosh, I'm out of grocery money. Anybody else with me? I used to consistently get to the last 8 or 10 days of the month and think, oh, I got $25 left for groceries for this month. This step keeps that from happening because you're looking at it every week and you can see where you overspend in week 1 so that you can adjust weeks 2, 3, and 4, adjust that grocery budget to make certain that you have enough money to carry you through to the end of the month. And it's like that with every single other budget category too. We track probably 8 or 10 different areas of our budget routinely where we know this is what we plan to spend, what did we actually spend, and then we have a little notes section where it's like, what do we think about this? It's just kind of a notation for us to make sure that we make necessary adjustments. We'll make adjustments in step 4 of this budget process. So stick with us and we'll tell you how we make those adjustments.
Step 3 is very important in this process. This is our mid-course corrections. And this is like working with your monthly budget. You take a look and see, where have you been? How have you done? And where do you need to maybe make some corrections? Maybe there was a place where you have extra money. You can take that and throw it in an area where you spent more than you had budgeted to spend.
Now, we only use this worksheet if something went wrong. If we realize, wait a minute, we're sort of going in the wrong direction and we need to make sure that we course correct, that's what this worksheet is for. But it works you through each step of, here's what happened, here's how far we're off course, here's how much money we need to get back on course, here's the cuts we need to make, where's the money coming from. And this sort of systematizes. For us, it helped us to sort of work through that process a lot more smoothly, because I'm like, all right, here's what we've agreed we're going to do. Here are the steps we're going to take. We've talked about this in the past on this channel. I'm just going to mention it. Standard operating procedures. That's exactly what this budget meeting is all about.
Yes.
We have said in the past that you need to create a budget and you need to treat spending your money like you were a CEO. If this were your company, how would you spend the money? So you need to make sure that you have your finger on the pulse of what money's coming in, what's going out, and where you want it to go.
Step 4 is the Big 3 goal review. We review the Big 3 goals that we've been working on that week. Now, it is possible that we may not meet a goal. We may just find out that goal wasn't necessary, so we'll just eliminate it altogether. That does take place as well.
So what's a Big 3 goal? Larry mentioned that terminology. I want to explain what it is. I don't know if it's novel to us or not, but we love this and we have used it for a really, really long time. We set quarterly goals, and our monthly goals are related to our quarterly goals. We like to think of our goals like in a stair step. So you start out with yearly goals, then you have quarterly goals, you have monthly goals, and the Big 3, that's our weekly goals. We look at our monthly goals and say, how can we break that into 3 really super easy, manageable steps that we're going to take this week to make sure that we are making progress on those monthly goals. Now, these aren't goals that take a lot of time, but they are very systematic, I would say, in helping us to make progress. There are a couple of areas we're working really, really hard on, and we'll show you our Big 3 goal worksheet. This is the one we actually just did this week in our budget meeting. We are working on our transportation costs.
We are.
And we're also working on, because gas, it goes up every summer. This summer it's expected to go up a little bit more, they said, than it had in previous summers.
There's more things involved this summer,
Right.
That's for sure.
So we're looking at transportation costs, but we're also looking really hard at our food costs, our food budget, and we are looking at our utility costs.
Yes.
So our Big 3 goals right now are related specifically to those 3 areas of our budget that we have chosen to really focus on for this quarter.
We'd like to use this week's budget meeting as an example so you'll understand how we do it.
Big 3 goals this week. This week's Big 3 goals were to keep an energy diary. This is literally a piece of paper we put near our microwave, and whenever we use anything, any appliance that uses energy, we just write it down. That allows us to compare that to our energy usage on the utility company website and figure out how much is it really spiking our overall usage to use these appliances. Just being aware of how you use energy will help you to regulate the amount of energy that you are using. Number 2 big goal was to not spend any more money on food. I'd already done the 6-month synopsis, and I didn't want to have to add anything more in any categories.
We ran out of crackers.
I was like, I know. All right, this was on me. All right, we're going to spoiler alert. Hope wanted crackers for her soup. Hope sent Larry to Aldi for crackers.
In the middle of supper, I went out and bought her crackers and bread. We were out of bread too, so she could make a sandwich and have crackers with her soup. But then I had another idea in mind. I wanted the same thing, so it was a good thing.
Oh my gosh. All right. So our goal was to not spend any more money at the grocery store. Big goal number 3 was to finish the 6-month budget calculations and schedule a meeting to discuss it. How did we do? That's the next section that we look at. What worked well? We did a much better job on our energy diary, which gave us sort of a snapshot of how we're actually using energy in the house. We turned the AC off.
Yes, we did this morning.
It
Turned
is
off.
89 degrees though, so it
Yeah,
is a little stuffy
a little
in
warm.
here. It's not supposed to hit 90 for the next 7 days though, so we are hopeful that the AC is going to be able to stay off.
Yes.
We're emptying the fridge nicely. We're menu planning. We used our solar cooker, our homemade solar cooker, used it twice this week.
Yeah.
And I finished those 6-month budget numbers, and I scheduled a meeting with our financial planner to go over them and figure out our goals for the next 6 months and where we're headed. What did not go as planned? Spending the money on my crackers and bread. I felt bad. I did feel bad. Ameren usage, Ameren is our utility company, guys.
Yeah.
Our usage is dropping. I would say it's leveling out right now. So we've kind of reached a place where it's not going down, but it's not going up anymore either, the estimated bill. So we're at a point where we know that if we want it to drop, we're going to have to drop our energy usage even lower.
Yeah.
But knowing that information is actually super important. One of the other things I do during this part of the budget meeting is if I have created any additional resources for us to look through. For instance, lowering that utility bill, we have it as a quarterly goal. I have specifically written out a spreadsheet. I've created a spreadsheet that shows us what we spent a year ago, what we spent last month, what we spent this month, and I'm making sure that I am tracking all of those numbers. Here is the truth. You cannot change what you don't know.
That's right.
If your goal is to simply drop your utility bill, that is not a goal. Our goal is to reduce our usage 10% lower than it was exactly a year ago. They raised our supply rates by 50%. So in order for us to drop the actual bill, we're going to have to drop it lower than 10%. But we're aware of that now because we had the goal.
Yeah.
We tracked our usage. We figured out how much we were able to drop our bill from mid-May to mid-June because our utility bill comes out mid-month. Now we're working on mid-June to mid-July. And having as much information as you can and as many numbers as you can will help you to analyze where you're going next.
It always looks like there's no further you can drop an item. We have found if you work hard enough, you can find a way to drop things that you think you had at the lowest level. And that's where we really are working hard on our utility budget.
And then we set our big 3 goals for next week. And that is exactly how we use the weekly big 3 worksheet. Guys, out of all the worksheets we've shown you, this is probably the one that I would really recommend
Most
that you
important.
do. Is the most important one is that big 3.
Step 5 is next week's spending map. This is where you actually use a calendar and you map out exactly when and how you're going to spend your money.
And the final thing that we do in this budget meeting is we check in with one another emotionally. How are we feeling about the numbers? How are we feeling about those successes? Make sure that you write down 3 things that went very well.
It's important.
And then you can go ahead. You can write down things that went awry, and that's fine to do. But if you only write down things that did not go as expected, then you'll leave your budget meeting feeling like...
Kind of depressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you failed.
So make sure that you have those successes as well as those things that did not go as planned. And I'm not even going to call them failures.
They're not
We don't
failures.
call them failures in
No,
our budget meeting.
we don't.
We say, this did not go according to plan. What can we do differently? What can we change that may make a difference and help us to go in the direction that we want to go instead of the direction that we are currently going?
We also take a look at the cause. What caused it to go this way? It might be something that's totally out of our control. And if it is, we don't beat ourselves up over it. We just try to plan, okay, that happened. Now, what can we do to compensate?
We are talking a lot about numbers because I am the number nerd.
Yes.
Larry lets me nerd out on numbers all day long as I have them all ready for the 30-minute budget meeting because he doesn't want to sit there for 60 minutes while I figure out the numbers. I have them all ready to go. When it comes to numbers and saving money, there are 6 specific numbers that you really need to know. If you know those numbers, They are going to help you to be able to plan a course of action that will help you to save more money and to stick with your budget and to reach your financial goals. What are those numbers, you might ask? We did a whole video on it, those numbers, and why we think you should track them. That video is right over there. Watch it next.